You wake up every morning with the same gnawing feeling, that hollow ache in your chest, that whispers you're not living the life you were meant for. You scroll through your phone, comparing yourself to others, buying things you don't need, chasing achievements that feel empty the moment you reach them. And deep down, in the quiet moments between distractions, you wonder, is this all there is? What if I told you that this restlessness isn't a flaw, it's a feature? That the very dissatisfaction eating away at you is actually your soul's compass, pointing towards something profound that modern society has forgotten? The ancient Greeks had a word for this: eudaimonia. Not happiness as we understand it today, not the fleeting rush of pleasure or the temporary high of success, but something far deeper: human flourishing, the realization of your highest potential. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You've been programmed to want the wrong things. Every advertisement, every social media post, every cultural message tells you that fulfillment comes from the outside. Get the promotion, buy the house, find the perfect relationship, accumulate enough stuff, enough status, enough approval, and then finally you'll feel complete. This is the lie that's killing your soul. Aristotle understood what we've forgotten. He observed that every living thing has a telos, a purpose, an end goal toward which it naturally strives. The acorn's purpose is to become an oak tree. The eagle's purpose is to soar. And humans? Our purpose isn't to consume or compete or conform. It's to actualize our potential for reason, virtue, and meaningful connection. But we've been severed from this understanding. We live in what the philosopher Byung-Chul Han calls the burnout society. A culture that promises fulfillment through endless productivity while leaving us spiritually bankrupt. Consider this. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not entertained, not distracted, not temporarily pleased, but genuinely, electrically alive. I'm willing to bet it wasn't when you were consuming something. It was when you were creating something, helping someone, pushing against your own limitations. That's because fulfillment doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from becoming who you're meant to be. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who spent years as a slave before becoming one of history's great teachers, understood this deeply. He taught that we suffer not because of what happens to us, but because of the gap between what we expect and what we experience. The path to peace isn't controlling external circumstances, it's aligning ourselves with our true nature. But here's where it gets interesting. Your true nature isn't what you think it is. You've been conditioned to believe you're fundamentally selfish, that looking out for yourself is natural and moral. But the latest research reveals something extraordinary. Humans are literally wired for connection, cooperation, and contribution. The behaviors that make us feel most alive, acts of creativity, compassion, and courage, are the same ones that benefit others. This isn't coincidence, it's design. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most proud, most energized, most like yourself. I guarantee they involved using your unique talents in service of something beyond your immediate self-interest. Maybe it was teaching someone something important. Maybe it was creating something beautiful. Maybe it was standing up for what was right when it wasn't easy. This is your soul recognizing its true purpose. But modern culture systematically disconnects us from this purpose. We're taught to see ourselves as isolated individuals, competing for scarce resources, rather than interconnected beings, capable of creating abundance through cooperation. We're encouraged to optimize for short-term pleasure rather than long-term flourishing. The result? An epidemic of what psychologist Viktor Frankl called existential vacuum, the feeling that life is meaningless despite material abundance. Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, observed that those who found meaning in their suffering were most likely to survive. Not those who were strongest or smartest, but those who had a reason to live. He wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." So what's your why? Here's the twist. It's not what you think. It's not about finding your one true passion or discovering your predetermined destiny. It's about recognizing that meaning isn't found, it's created. And it's created through the cultivation of character and the expression of your unique gifts in service of something larger than yourself. The 20th century psychologist Abraham Maslow studied the most fulfilled, self-actualized people he could find. What he discovered challenged everything we assume about human motivation. These individuals weren't driven primarily by personal needs, they were driven by what he called be values. Being. Values like truth, beauty, goodness, and justice. They had transcended the ordinary human concerns with safety and status to engage with universal principles. They found fulfillment not through getting, but through giving. Not through achieving, but through becoming. This is what the mystics of every tradition have pointed toward. The paradox that you find yourself by losing yourself. That you fulfill your individual potential by recognizing your fundamental interconnection with all life. But let's get practical. How do you actually live this way in a world designed to prevent it? First, you have to wake up to the programming. Notice how often you're chasing external validation. How much of your energy goes toward impressing others, rather than expressing yourself. How frequently you choose comfort over growth, distraction over depth, conformity over authenticity. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Second, you need to reclaim your attention. In our hyper-connected world, the most radical act is solitude. Not loneliness solitude. Time alone with your thoughts, free from input, where you can hear the quiet voice of your deeper wisdom. This is where you'll discover what actually matters to you versus what you've been told should matter. Third, start small but start now. Look for opportunities to use your talents in service of others. Not grand gestures, simple acts. Share knowledge. Create beauty. Offer support. Stand for truth. Each time you do this, you strengthen the neural pathways of meaning and weaken the addictive pull of empty consumption. Here's the beautiful irony. The more you let go of grasping for personal fulfillment, the more fulfilled you become. The more you stop trying to get something from life and start giving something to it, the more alive you feel. You are living at the most extraordinary moment in human history. Never before have so many people had so much freedom to choose their path. Never before has individual action had such potential for global impact. The crises of our time, ecological, social, spiritual, aren't obstacles to meaning. They're invitations to it. The restlessness you feel isn't a problem to be solved, it's a signal to be followed. It's your deeper nature, calling you home, to yourself, and to your place in the grand human story. So the next time that hollow feeling arises, don't run from it. Don't numb it with consumption or distraction. Listen to it. It's trying to tell you something important. You were made for more than getting by. You were made for flourishing. The question isn't whether you'll find fulfillment, it's whether you'll have the courage to create it. Whether you'll stop waiting for permission to become who you really are, and start giving yourself that permission right now. That restless feeling in your chest, it's not a bug. It's the most beautiful feature you possess. It's your soul refusing to settle for anything less than its highest expression. The only question remaining is, what will you do with it?